in the book of Joshua and Enoch, the book of Enoch, they talk about 200 of the fallen angels landed on Mount Hermon in the days of Jared, Noah's, I think, great grandfather. And if you say, well, how many fallen angels, how many angels fell with Lucifer? 1/3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's 1/3 of 100? 33.
33, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, David Flynn's done some amazing research on this, and Tom Horn as well. And they point out, in fact, if you go to Google Earth, you can see it for yourself, that the center of the mountain range that we call Mount Hermon is located at 33.33 degrees north by 33.33 degrees east from the Paris prime meridian, which used to be the prime meridian before they changed it. And if you do a Wikipedia on the Paris prime meridian, it's also known as the Devil's Line. So
interesting.
Pretty interesting. And so when you think about, okay, there's 1/3 of the angels that follow Lucifer, 33.33%. This is the only geographical location on the entire planet that actually represents their number.
33, yeah.
I mean, that's mind-boggling. I mean, the books of Enoch and Joshua, they didn't know that. It's not recorded in there what the coordinates are. But you go on Google Earth and you do a little poking around and you see, whoa. And so it says after this little discussion that Jesus has, he says it says that he took Peter, James, and John to the top of a high mountain. Well, it's the highest mountain in the region by far, and they're
Mount
in the
Hermon.
area anyway, Mount Hermon. So the peak of Mount Hermon. So many theologians, as do I, believe that was the mountain of Transfiguration. And what's interesting about that today is there's actually a UN outpost on top of Mount Hermon in that location right now. In fact, you can see pictures of it on Google Earth. They got little pop-outs. You can see little pictures. And it's literally right across from a cross that people, I guess like myself, that believe that that's the Mount of Transfiguration. They mark that area, So you got this cross and you got this UN, I think it's a radar outpost, which I find really interesting. It's kind of like, what are they looking for? And you consider his statement as it was in the days of Noah, so is it going to be in the coming of Son of Man? When Jesus goes to the Mountain of Transfiguration, he could literally look off to his right and see the location of where Zeus and Hades and Poseidon were created. He could look down to see where Nimrod, the first Antichrist, his fortress is. He could look down and see the gates of Hades and the altar of Pan, which is a animal-human hybrid offspring of the gods. And, that's pretty huge when you think about it.
Yeah, it is, all in that one place.
All in one place. And so what was he doing there? And I've talked about this a lot to my friends and stuff. I said, I think it's like the movie Rocky. At the beginning of Rocky, the first movie, the very first thing you see when they fade from black is an image of Jesus. They pull off from the picture of the face of Jesus to this little boxing ring, and, Rocky's a nobody. He's fighting a nobody. Nobody knows he exists. And there's a sign below the face of Jesus that says resurrection, something, I forget what it says on there, but it's kind of a setup right there, because then later he gets a chance to fight the heavyweight champion of the world, Apollo Creed, right? Well, when you realize that Apollo is a son of Zeus, and Creed is the belief system of a people,
right?
And Rocky, Jesus is the Rock, he's the Rock. It's pretty symbolic. He goes and before the big fight, he goes to the ring, and he walks into the ring. And he sees this huge poster of Apollo Creed. It's like he surveys the ring. Then he goes home and he talks to Adrian and he says, I just want to go to the distance with Creed. No one's ever gone the distance with Creed. And sure enough, he gets in the fight and he goes 15 rounds with the heavyweight champion of the world. And at the end of it, even though he took the beating of his life, he was still standing. And if you think about part 2, Rocky, the Rock, comes back with the second coming. He gets married, and then he beats him. So I'm like, I don't know if Sylvester Stallone knows what he's doing there, but I think that's a great analogy for what I believe Jesus was doing, as he went and surveyed the ring. You guys tried to stop me from being here in Genesis chapter 6. It's like, I got your number. And then, then Mickey and Polly show up, Moses and Elijah, they give him a pep talk,
There you go.
It says from that point on, he went preaching about his death, burial, and resurrection and headed straight from there to Jerusalem, where he went 15 rounds with the devil and was still standing when it was all over.
Well, that's powerful stuff. And again, you don't know if that was ever in the mind of Sylvester Stallone when he wrote the script,
No
but
idea.
You can certainly use it as a good analogy.